Hi, this is Danny Hicks, but you might know me better as Jake from Evil Dead 2, or maybe Skippy from Darkman, or maybe even Bill Roberts from Intruder. It doesn't matter, because we are all listening to The Tim O and Harley Show.
Welcome to The Tim O and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Tim O and Harley Show. I am Tim O. Over there is my partner in mind crime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben, we've lost Danny Hicks Harley.
Yes, we have. It's a sad day here on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll let you take it, Tim O, to tell the people what we're doing.
Yeah. So we were. Today is July 1st, Wednesday, July 1st.
Yes.
We normally record our show Tuesday mornings, yesterday morning. So while we were recording, we did our normal routine where we talked about stuff. We didn't really give much of an update from Danny because I knew Danny was bad and there was nothing to say. Well, while we were doing the show, Danny passed. Yes. And so we are re-recording this right now, the next day. Yeah. Just because we just wanted to do this now. We wanted to say something now. We didn't want to let it go a week. And we don't normally do stuff like this. We call it the space-time continuum. Everything we always say everything you hear is a week old by the time you hear it, basically. Yeah. And it's true. And that's true. Yeah. And we just thought, well, by the time you hear this, it's also going to be about 4 or 5 days old. But we weren't going to let this one go. Danny was...
No, we can't.
No, we called him our third wheel in mind crime.
Yes.
He was a co-host on the show every chance we got to have him.
Every time we could have a Hicks season.
That's right. We called it.
It varied.
Yes, it
varied.
Yes, it did.
Which is good. Keeps everybody on their toes, plus us.
Right.
Kept us on our toes.
Right.
Yeah.
We love Danny. We
do.
miss him. Our lives have changed and been directly affected by his friendship, and his life was directly affected by all of ours too. And I'm gonna speak for people that we know, friends of ours from the convention community. Your friends around there in Toledo, my friends around here in St. Louis, my band people. You got to know a lot of our friends. Mm-hmm. You became friends with our friends independently of us, and that's wonderful. And that's great. We love to be able to share some Danny Hicks with the world, right? And he was good about he was good about getting to know people. He loved people, Yeah,
he did, and he generally did, And with all the time that we got to spend together at the conventions, the three of us, and then our extended, friends and stuff. But just he always took the time to talk to people. He never brushed anybody off, and I loved hearing the stories that he would tell. Fans and things like that while we were sitting there. And then the stuff that he would tell us too,
Right.
And those always made for real memorable experiences, with Danny. And Danny was just a pleasure to be around because he generally enjoyed, like you say, he enjoyed conversating or enjoyed people.
He did.
And still took the time when he didn't have to, he didn't have to, and he really did. And that was a lot of the fun of him, and actually sitting outside of the conventions at parties and other functions and get-togethers and just seeing Danny from across the room talking to others and not commanding the room, enjoying others too. You know what I mean? Right. And also it was fun to see him holding court. Let's say maybe like that a little bit.
Well, he would defend his friends. I mean, he didn't care what you were saying. I'm going to tell a little story here that I haven't thought about in years. And this is an odd story, but this to me explains Danny pretty well too. We were at a convention and there was a person we know, and I don't mean any disrespect by it, and I'm not going to bust this person out because it's not fair. And this person was drinking And it was a young lady that we know. She was drinking, and she was just, sometimes you just talk shit, right? I mean, just talking.
Right.
So she made some comments about Britney Spears. Now, what? The only easier target than Britney Spears these days is Donald Trump or another politician or something like that, right?
Right. Yeah, sure.
So she started talking shit about that, and Danny speaks up and goes, and I can see Danny getting agitated. And if you knew Danny, when he got agitated, he started fiddling with himself and fumbling around and stuff. And he leaned forward and said, "I'm sorry, excuse me. Do you know Britney Spears? Have you ever met her?" And the young lady says, "No." And she says, "Well, I have. And she's a wonderful young lady. And she and no one on this planet gives two shits about her. And everything she does is under a microscope." And she said, and he said, "Young lady, if everything you did was under a microscope, you would be hated much worse than she is."
Yes.
And I don't think he meant to insult the young lady we knew. And I think he was just sticking up for someone that he had met. And he's like, that's just not true. He saw an untruth.
Right.
And he stopped it. And he said something. And it was awkward to say the least, but he did it. He didn't care. And he would just do that. And that wasn't to tear someone down. That's because he couldn't sit there any longer and listen to somebody talk about something they didn't know anything about.
Right.
And that's hard these days. Because everybody does that. We all think we're experts in everything. And Danny was just like, you're not an expert in this. I know exactly who this person is. That's just not right. That's incorrect. No. Yeah. And you know what? Here's a funny thing. I don't even know that story. I believe him. I don't even know that story. He never talked to me about meeting her ever, but he met so many people that he would just, they would come out sometimes, the stories would or whatever. But, he defended his friends.
And they were some good stories.
Yes, absolutely. But a lot of people, too, and I talked to Harley about this before we started recording, a lot of people don't know how we met, don't know, our connections or anything. Do we grow up together? No, none of that. So this is very simple.
Too young for us.
Yes, this is very simple. Yeah. We were at a convention at a Horror Hound.
Yes.
This was before Horror Hound was tens of thousands of people. This is when it was a little hotel show. Okay, so, and Harley and I have been there since the beginning. Not necessarily together, but we both knew each other together there at the shows. We've been there since the first shows. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's right. That's how we met. So we were doing one of our first shows together, I think. One of our first conventions together as a podcast. And they put us on an end cap. And there was an empty table next to us. And I remember, do you remember?
And we were about to scoot over and take that empty table.
See, we were excited because any vendor listening right now is laughing because they know exactly what we mean. There was an empty table. It's like, nobody seems to be sitting there and we're a little crowded. And if we don't put our shit there, Aaron and the rest of these guys are going to remember that spot's open. Well, by the time we got
to somebody,
by the time we got to thinking, some volunteer brought a gentleman over and pointed at that table and said, "Here, you can be here." And he said, "Okay, fine." And starts getting his briefcase and stuff set up, but he wasn't really setting anything up.
No,
he just put stuff down at the table and just kind of was just there. And so me and Harley were doing our thing. We were drinking our grape ape, being idiots. We were much younger then.
Yes,
we had livers back then.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
and stamina. So and handsomeness, might I add,
and glimmer in our eye.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I know you remember this too, Harley. But we're doing our thing, and then there's Danny right next to us. Well, that's a little awkward when you're on an end cap and there's one person next to you. So, we just said hi to him and stuff. And Danny, I remember he reached over and he said, "Do a lot of people come to these things?" He's like, I haven't really been to any of these. I've only been to one or something. And is this a good show? And we were like, "Oh yeah." I said, Saturday we're really good. Now, of course, now it's packed there always.
Yeah,
but we told him. He said,
"Yeah,
Saturdays are good. This and that and everything." And he said, "Well, I sure hope so. And I remember I looked over. I was like, "Who are you? What are you? Who are you with? What vendor? What do you sell? Who are you with?" And he said, and he introduced himself to us.
Yep.
He said, "I'm Danny Hicks." I didn't know who Danny Hicks was. So, and I'm just being honest about that. I didn't know his name. I didn't know who he was. So I said, "Well, what do you do?" And he said, "I played."
I'm an actor.
Yeah, he goes, "Well, I played Jake in Evil Dead 2." And I said, "The guy with the overalls on?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "No, you didn't."
Not you.
It didn't look like him, Harley. I was like, "No, it isn't. No, it's not you."
Yeah.
It's like, "No, it isn't." He goes, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was me." So I think he got a kick out of that. And, later in life, he would always tell me that he was proud that he wasn't recognized more for the roles he played because he worked hard at being a chameleon. about being almost faceless.
My Name is Bruce had just come out too, I think, right around that time.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because I remember he had a little banner, a small little banner that he put out on the front of his table.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait a second. And I was like, nah, and then, because I think we'd seen My Name is Bruce and stuff too. So it started to kind of dawn on me that who this guy was,
Mm-hmm.
and then like getting to talk to him a little bit more. Then it started, it really did dawn on me. This is Jake, and then I think we probably were yelling Bobby Joe at the guy too, probably the whole, I'm pretty sure for most of the weekend. You know what I mean? Yeah. I really do. And, but he could not have been any nicer to us. And it was funny because I really, and it's been a long time and a lot of grape vape and bong hits ago. Did I say bong hits? I meant gong hits ago. But, I do remember just us having so much fun sitting there talking with him. And then some of our friends like Ramona and others coming over. Yeah, mm-hmm. Coming over. And we all just had like a ball talking to him.
Right.
Right. And he was, just a lot of fun.
Right.
I remember. And then I think also too, the Great Babe also had a little influence.
Yeah, well, that's what was funny
for us.
Yes, so one of my first memories was Danny, his face forward. You remember this, I'm sure.
Yeah,
and we were laughing about this because his face was looking forward, but he was looking out of the corner of his eye, and he kept staring at what we were drinking. Yeah, he just kept staring at it, And I said, "Do you want some?" Oh no. I quit drinking, and he looked at his watch about 4 hours ago, and I'm feel healthy. I'm doing good. And so I said, okay, all right. So we asked him a couple more times, and he kept saying no, but he kept looking out of the corner of his eye at us, And so finally, we just poured it and said, just drink the fucking Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Drink the Kool-Aid.
And handed it to him. And then he always said that night he ping-ponged his way back to his room. And that's how he met us and got to know us. We broke bread over Great Babe. Yeah. And what's funny, too, is I've noticed over the last day or two on social media, I'm like, everybody keeps telling Danny, I loved your Grape Babe. It wasn't his Grape Babe. Everybody thinks it's either yours or his. And like, I invented the goddamn shit. It's my stuff. Nobody knows how to make it but me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's his fault.
I don't really care. I just, but at the same time, I mean, it's funny to me that he was known as that, and so are you.
Yeah.
I think that's really funny. But at the same time, there's people that know me more involved in his stuff than I might be.
Yes.
But so, and that's the other thing too. So, we had friends like Joel and Ramona and Jen and those people when they were doing tables together and other people, and they were coming up and talking to us, and Danny's right there. Yeah. And they're going to want to talk to Danny. I mean, he's a guy from Evil Dead 2. We're at a horror convention. That's what you do. And he was so personable that it all kind of, we all just started talking, and then...
And Danny didn't sit behind his booth like that either. He'd like to come out sometimes, and talk and mingle a little,
Smoke.
And too. Yeah, exactly. That too,
Yeah. Well,
and which is much easier to approach a person like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So he got to know us that weekend. He came and he would hang out and, here's the thing too, and this is what people really don't know. He was a shy guy. Yeah. He was an awkward guy. Most entertainers, including myself, are fairly insecure.
Yeah.
We need that praise and that love to know that we're loved and wanted, and that's true. I fully admit that.
Me too.
I hide from the world. I'm very, and this is something else that me and Danny were very similar about too. And see if you agree with me on this.
Social distancers.
Yes, that both of us were social in spurts.
Yes,
and then when we were done, stay away from us.
Yeah,
like we're done, and that's not a superstar thing. That's a exhaustion thing.
It is, and you can get over stimulated and things like that. And I know I get teased a lot around here sometimes, and it's all in fun, because I do like to talk. And when people come in, and sometimes I don't see people for many years, or they come in and the first time they've been to my shop and they see all these things, Danny's pictures and Rhino and all these other people, Amy Steele and all these others that we. And they're like, oh my God, you met these people? And and I said, most of them are pretty generally nice people.
Right.
But it can be overwhelming,
Yeah.
And it's funny, and I feel you completely on that. When I do my potentate of hate thing, I enjoy it, but I don't like getting into my potentate of hate garb until the last second, and I don't, and then I like to get it off because it's hard. It is. People are like, oh, well, no, it's hard to get into that mode and stay in that mode. I think Alice Cooper said it best. He couldn't be Alice Cooper all the time.
Right.
You can't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I understand for you, and especially for Danny, you know, it's hard.
Yeah.
And I, you know, you get overstimulated. You don't want to.
Well, here's the honest.
Mean you guys are,
yeah.
you know.
I think the honest thing is this: is that every trembling handshake that Danny had from people, he was just as nervous.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand. It's like you're meeting people you don't know too. When I play music, I'm nervous.
Yes.
I almost dread walking out and talking to people. It's not I so appreciate people paying their hard-earned money to come see me play my silly music. I really do.
Yeah.
And it means the world to me. I don't necessarily want to be best friends with everybody, but I want everyone to know that I appreciate it and I like them enough to come out and get out of my comfort zone.
Yes.
To come and say hello to them. And that's what Danny does. And see, that's the difference. It isn't the fact that these people are nice or not, or this and that. You don't really know who people are until you've sat down, had dinner with them, or or you've known them for a while. Yes. And I've seen the difference between Danny and his friends and stuff when they are at a dinner or something like that, and not. And it's not that different, but you just know that they're nervous. They don't know who they're meeting, and they've had a lot of problems with people that don't understand arm's length. They don't understand that. A lot of people want to know these people.
Yes,
you have to. You have to accept the fact that if they say hi to you, then it just is what it is. You know.
Right.
But Danny was very. He was shy. He was nervous, and I know he came back home. You know, with us lots of times back to the
after the shows,
after the show, and both of us would be exhausted. We'd both be just exhausted, and we're talked out, and you're worried you said the wrong thing to half the people who were there. You get,
and that's another thing too, and
self-conscious.
Yes, because a lot of times I'm like that too, where I overthink people too much. I feel sometimes, and then I don't feel like I think others enough. You know, And yeah, you're right. Like, I am so thankful when people come out to watch our wrestling stuff. You know, like so thankful. I could not be more thankful. You know, I'm supposed to be hateful. Very thankful.
You're a heel. You're buying people drinks. That's not going to help your character out very much.
No, it doesn't. That guy's too nice. Man. Good Lord. Yeah. But Danny was very, and I will say, and we've been around a lot of the celebrities to the point where it's not. It's almost, it's going to sound, I don't want to sound jerky or whatever, but it's almost like, I don't want to say I'm over it.
No, you get desensitized.
Yes, and which is great because we've met so many, and I've tried to tell people, they're such nice people. They want to just conversate. They want to be treated most generally like normal people. And that's the best time to do it, you know.
Right. Well, for the most part, look, let's be fair. For the most part, it was because we were a little older or younger than we have a very unique age in the vendor world.
Yes, we did.
And so I think that some of the celebrities they came to these shows with empty pockets, like they didn't have any bourbon with them, they didn't have any smoke, they didn't have this, and it was kind of known that we would have a few people in our room and they could come and get a free little sample of whatever fun. Nothing too hard, nothing too bad, but there was free samples of things you could come and you could trust us.
Yes,
you could trust us. So that, and so we would have people walk in. A lot of times accompanied by someone like Joel Robinson or something. I know some friends of mine that's going to help you guys out, you know. And so he would service these people on a platter, you know, and stuff. Yep. Well, and then so to keep talking about how we met Danny. So that was a whole weekend with Danny, and then I remember he did tell me. I said, "Well, Danny, it was a pleasure, you know, being here this weekend next to you, and it was great getting to know you and stuff. And I'll try to keep in touch." He's like, you won't be able to do that. It's like, I'll find you. Yeah. He goes, you won't find me. I said, I'll find you.
I'll find you.
He's like, no, you won't. I did. I found him. Like I found him and you know, and touch base him and stuff. Well, what happened was Harley and I were going to a show. Yeah. I got some recording gear when I first got it.
Yes.
And I did a record for myself. And I was proud that I could actually do the whole thing myself with all the instruments and stuff. So I decided, well, how do I...
And it's dandy.
Well, thank you. And I thought, well, how do I do something with my talent, and how do I do something and maybe have something at the conventions to sell? So I was like, well, why don't I write songs about people that we've met, in the convention world about their movies and stuff. And
Sure.
then I will send all these people a copy of the songs and ask if they give their blessings. And then I'll move forward and I'll put it out and sell it. So one of them was the hiding game for J.D. Fagelson from Dark Knight Scarecrow. That was pretty much my big one. That was the one I really wanted to do. And I love that song. Really got in it. Well, then there was this other little pop song I wrote called The Ballad of Jake and Bobby Joe. And it was for Danny. And I didn't know Cassie at the time. I only met Danny. And so, so I sent, the one out to JD, and he had nice things to say and gave his blessings. And I sent the song to Danny, and Danny was blown away.
Yes.
And he's like, what's your phone number? What's your phone number? So he calls me and he's like, why didn't you have me on this?
Yeah.
I said, I thought you might sue me, much less want to be on it. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. My world is very litigious. It was like music. We were very like protective of our image. And interestingly enough, I found actors aren't very much, and musicians, because we don't get our faces shown very often.
No.
And so you just hear what we're doing. You don't see us. You don't know who we are. So we're very, very protective. Well, apparently they're not. So I didn't know that. So I was very protective for Danny and for JD and these people. So I said, well, I didn't think about that. So what happened was I called our good pal, Mr. Sir Ian Baird, who is now playing in Fragile Porcelain Mice. He wasn't then. Yeah. He was just a buddy of mine that we did music together. He taught me how to record. So he taught me, he helped me a lot. And I said, hey, listen, I go, this guy, Danny Hicks, that I met, he's in Evil Dead 2. And Ian knew Evil Dead 2. very well. His dad is a huge Evil Dead fan.
Is he?
Ian's
really?
dad is. Oh my God. Yeah. Robert. Oh my God. Yeah. He met Danny one time, and I thought he was gonna shit kittens when he met him. It was just crazy, So, but it was nice. It was really neat to see Danny talk to Ian's dad and get along like that. But anyway, so I told Ian what was going on. I said, listen, the guy wants to be on the song. I don't know how to do that. He lives in California. I live in St. Louis. So I said, I have an idea. And Ian says, okay, what's your idea? I was like, well, a lot of our music, we use an effect on our vocals and make it sound like we're on a phone, like real distorted. So it's the Beatles did it a lot, and I like it. I think it sounds neat.
Yeah, it does.
So I said, can you record Danny? Because Ian was much better than me. He is still, but at the time I had no confidence to do this stuff myself. So I said, would you record Danny over the phone singing these parts? Is that possible? And Ian was like, anything's possible.
Right.
But I don't know. So he tried it. We tried to stick it in the song, and it didn't really work. So finally, I just said, you know what? The only thing to do is to have Danny come here and do it. So me and Ian came up with this plan. I'm going to have Danny fly in. I had to go through Danny's agent. No offense, Dominic Mancini. I mean his theatrical agent, his Hollywood agent, not his booking agent for appearances. Yeah. I had to go through Bruce Economo. From Michigan, actually, also worked with Tim Allen and some other people, and produced some Tim Allen films. So I had to work with him to arrange having Danny come out professionally for a professional gig, and I did. So I arranged for him to come out, and we decided we were going to have one day where we did a lot of recording, and another day we were going to shoot a video.
Yeah.
I should have made that into a week. I should have let it go a week. We didn't know. Hindsight being 20/20. We did accomplish all that. And that is what gave rise to the Ballad of Jake and Bobby Joe. Danny had so much fun doing that. I said, Danny, I talked to him afterwards. I said, listen, and then we were kind of connected because then we had money together. We had something that we were selling. So I said, Danny, listen, I go, why don't you come in town for a couple weeks and let's do a proper record? And he said, okay. I said, do you want me to go through Bruce Economo again? He said, no, that's okay. I've been to your house. I know. I'm not worried you're gonna bury me in the backyard anymore. You'll just drown me in your pool and it'll be visible from space. So it'll be fine. Right. So that's really where it started. Yeah. And then, I did some music with him, and Harley, we started bringing him to shows to sell those CDs, and then Harley did his famous Jake t-shirt that he wore everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. And we all just became friends. And then we all just started doing things together. And one thing led to another. And then we did the Stalking Bigfoot movie together, which was funny.
We actually did a movie. Yeah.
Yes, he did that for us because he hates the whole Bigfoot thing. He can't stand it, And so he did that for us, which he didn't have to do that. No. And we tried very hard to make sure that Danny was well represented in that movie.
Yes.
We really did.
And,
we didn't want it to be like, it's an amateur movie a little bit, but we did not want him to look amateur. And he did not in that film, I don't think at all. We did, he did not, which is fine. That's
right.
what we wanted. So
yeah.
Then Danny, he has, some people know, some people don't, very awful neuropathy. His hands would feel like they were like on fire and constantly like asleep. And his feet, he always said his feet felt like he's walking on railroad spikes. Yeah. Always. Like this was always. So when he was talking to you, laughing, having a good time, he felt like there were railroad spikes going through his feet. And he was on a lot of dangerous painkillers throughout his life. He wrote songs about it with the music that we did. The Timo and Danny Hicks Brain Invasion, by the way, is the little
featuring
project featuring Stream and Baird. Yes, that we had. And so it was basically me and Danny, and Ian Baird was, he's like our producer, our drummer. He was kind of the guy he was the Phantom of the Paradise. He was the guy that was helping out, and him and Danny did a few songs together. I let him go, and it was neat. But anyway, so Danny was in a lot of pain, a lot of problems. He then had a neck surgery. He actually had a broken neck for 20 years. Didn't know it. And so we were excited, though, that we thought, Angie and
How tough he was.
Well, we thought that maybe if he had the neck surgery, it would help his neuropathy. Maybe it was all, how could you not think that was all related or something?
Right, yeah.
So that's when our friendship kind of took, I'd say, a more serious tone.
Yes, yeah.
It was a dangerous surgery, and his odds of making it through weren't as good as you would want it to be.
No.
Let's just say at that point we were legally bound. He asked me if I would do a few things, should anything happen to him, if I would fulfill some wishes for him. So our friendship took much more of a turn. And that's the thing. Yeah. Look, let's just be honest here, because most people aren't.
No.
So we start this thing, basically, we're both opportunistic entertainers. I see an actor from a film that I really appreciate. He sees a musician. We both have something that the other one doesn't. We combined our forces and gave each other something. He lent his reputation and stuff to me. I lent my talents to him. Yeah. And in the meantime, we realized we got along.
Those records were good. Yeah,
well,
those records were really good, too. I mean, they weren't just run-of-the-mill, let's throw us together. No, they were, and they are still very good records. Very good records, ones that I enjoy a lot. And I think that you guys... It is true. By you guys working together, formed more of a friendship that way too.
That's how it happened, because it started off as both of us being opportunistic and kind of taking advantage of each other. But that is sort of how entertainment works in a way.
Well, you have to.
You
do.
And they call it, the PC term is called networking.
Sure. Yeah, and that's what I did a lot with these the celebrities at the shows with the shirts, and I would approach them. Right. I will make these shirts, and most of them said, "No, I don't want to. No, I've done that before." And I said, "No, you're not listening to me." I didn't say that to him, that. I said, "No, I will make the shirts, buy the shirts, make the shirts, print the shirts, bring the shirts. You put them on their table and sell them." And you know what? So many people like Danny too, and Amy Steele and J.D. Fagelson, all of them. We're so
Steve
good
Dash.
about these things. Steve Dash, was one of my biggest support,
Yeah.
And so it was like, that was our network. That was me not using them so much, but them also, we're using each other a little bit, but it worked out so good, and we became good friends through all that too, But you and Danny both, I think, and it just worked out really well for both of you, mostly because you became friends and over it more than anything.
Well, that was the thing. We our friendship didn't blossom at the convention. That's when we knew we got along.
Yeah.
And as we were doing, when you sit with somebody for 2 weeks doing a record, it is kind of like doing a movie with somebody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it was just me and him. There wasn't a whole cast. There wasn't a crew. It was me and him sitting down in a small studio, airtight, and me teaching him how to be a singer in a band, because he didn't know. And he got very frustrated.
And he really wanted to.
He did.
And I remember he was so excited about doing the projects. I mean, he was thrilled. And I know he was. He told me, and I could just see it, and then when we would do the show, like he would be on our podcast, you could tell how much he enjoyed doing that stuff, So it was like another thing for him, another part of his legacy, I guess,
Right.
if you want to put it that way, or another part, of doing something else, another bucket list type thing.
Sure,
too,
sure. Well, and then so one of it might have been the third album we were doing together.
Yeah.
That was the first time that I realized that we could actually just take Danny to a show that was in the Midwest here, and he could just come with us and make some extra money.
Yes. Yeah.
And so we started having him be our guest at our table.
shows.
And one of those was when he met Dominic, his current agent, or I guess now ex-agent, but his booking agent that was working with Cassie DePaiva, who played Bobby Joe to his Jake in Evil Dead 2. And so I met Cassie, and you met Cassie at that show.
Yeah.
And I think wasn't that the show where we met Bruce Campbell and...
Yes, I think so.
Okay, yeah. And so there were, and some of his friends were there. I guess it was, we met Cassie, Bruce Campbell, and Bruce's assistant Mike. And who else was there? Aaron Gray?
Yeah.
Was there? And
we went there, and the girl from Valley Girl?
Yeah, Deborah Foreman. Yeah, Deborah Foreman.
Deborah Foreman, and I tell you, talk about my knees knocking, going to a place. Good Lord. First all I had to say was Aaron Gray was going to be there. My knees would have started knocking already.
I remember elbowing you going, that's Deborah fucking Foreman. Across,
right across.
There was no guy like me and Ben's age that did not have a big crush on Deborah Foreman, ever.
Yes.
Aaron Gray, too. But especially Deborah Foreman, because she was closer to our age, So we were,
she was. Yep.
Oh man! But they and they both, and Cassie, all looked wonderful still and everything. We were very excited to be there, and I tease to this day that me and Harley still have little pieces of steak up in our teeth that we chew on sometimes, just to remember that was the best meal ever. And thank you, Mr. Bruce Campbell, for that meal.
I remember, I think, asking Tim, what size the salad fork, and I don't even eat salad. So which side? Because I was so nervous.
Right.
I didn't know what to do. But that was one of the. And then thanks to Danny for that too. For that experience that I'll never forget. And never forget. And here I am sitting around some of the people that I like a lot, and I'm not. I wouldn't ask for an autograph. I was like, you and not saying nothing, but thank you. That's all I wanted to say was thank you. You know what I mean? And that's hard. That's hard. But you know what? No, these people were breaking bread with us, and it was what a great experience that was that night.
Yeah, that was a smaller group of people. I mean, it was Cassie's from the Louisville area. That's where we were. So a lot of her family was there, and I talked to some of her family because they're musicians, and Cassie is too. She puts out kind of like modern country records, and so I talked to them a little bit, but it was a little bit of a lower stress environment. Everything after that I ever been with Danny's friends with was a bit more formal. And a little more awkward, and I'm not good in those situations because I'm a laid back kind of guy, and when it gets awkward, I get a little nervous. Here's the thing. So Danny would take us. He did to us after he met Angie. Then he started taking me and Angie to these dinners, as they're called. I just want to say that always made me and Angie really awkward, and the reason we did it was because Danny felt like it was the only way he could repay us.
Sure.
And I don't know who's going to hear this or not, but there was many times toward the end where me and Angie were sort of telling Danny, "Go be with your friends."
Yeah.
Go be with your friends, because your friends have been very generous with us, but they're your friends, and we felt like we were kind of crashing the party, and I think on some level we were, but Danny wouldn't have it.
No.
And he refused to go if we didn't go.
Yeah.
And so only the very last time I was around Danny and some of his friends was the first time where actually everybody kind of went their separate ways. Me and Angie went with Danny and Cassie to dinner, and other people went their own ways or whatever. Okay. And that had a lot more to do with logistics. It was a nightmare. I remember it was awful. Like nobody's reservations were right. Everything was crazy. Everybody's starving. It was a long day. Nobody cared about who was sitting next to who anymore. They just they would have eaten White Castles at that point. They didn't care.
They're eating the tablecloth at that point. Right?
I want to say I'd like to thank Bruce Campbell and Mike Estes for if at worst humoring Danny.
Yeah.
And allowing us to tag along. And I just, it's hard for me to tell somebody, like, it's not that I didn't want to be there.
Sure.
I hope they realize is that we weren't holding that over Danny's head. That had nothing to do with us.
No,
I don't.
And that's the one thing. Yeah, I didn't want, and I know it was hard for Danny because a couple of those ones, it was either down to the last minute or two if I could go, and I was be like, and I remember you guys like, no, and I'd be like, you guys go because first off, you deserve it, and then just that experience I got to have with the and you and I sat across from Danny and Dink.
Yes.
And that was good for me. That was good for me. I was kind of I was glad to be in that little comfort zone because three of the people or four of the people that we were sitting with, I'd only seen pretty much on television or on the movie screen before. So to see them sitting right across from me and break bread was almost a little bit more than I could take.
Right.
Because it just was so special that I didn't want it to end. And you know what, though? That's one story that I'll always have for the rest of my life to tell people and enjoy. And it's because of Danny and because of Danny's generosity. And then also you and Bruce and stuff, too. So it was great. It was, and I can see what you feel, though, Tim, because a lot of times it can be awkward.
Well, I didn't want to be a stress on Danny between his friends that he had before me.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I'd never felt like,
especially the way I look.
I know you're so handsome. You make the movie stars look bad. You know,
I didn't want to do that either. I didn't want.
You didn't want to break up marriages for Deborah Foreman or anyone.
No,
I understand how it is.
No.
Yeah. I'm safe on that stuff, but you're not. I mean, it's a curse to be as handsome as you are.
I know, Tim. But, it's a cross out there.
Right, but I think what I'm trying to say is that as much as that it got to be like, I really didn't want to be a pain or a pill or someone who was that person that you wanted to figure out how to get rid of.
Right, exactly.
And I know that. And see, the thing is that nobody in the convention world, nobody like Bruce, nobody ever knew that I played music for a long time. I've had people that kind of bothered me too.
Yes.
And they also don't know that I'm more of a hermit they could ever have. One of the people I've met through Danny that I truly love and dear, and I truly love as a person, as a human being, and I truly feel like I'm friends with is Betsy Baker.
Yes.
From the first Evil Dead film. Well, if anyone who follows the show knows that not long ago, in the last few months, we had Betsy on our show for the very first time, a two-part interview and stuff. And me and Betsy were laughing because I said, thank you so much for doing this. I said, I'm sorry I never asked you before. Yeah. I said, but I just like to leave people at peace.
Yes.
And I told her, I said, it might be impressive that I have your phone number. It's also impressive that you have mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she just sat there for a second.
You're like the Johnny Ramone channel. You don't give it up. Yeah.
I don't want to. I'm just a hermity kind of person. I know what it feels like to be bothered by people who don't know you, think they know you. And I'm not saying I'm famous. I'm just saying that I just know what it feels like. That's all. Yeah. And I know a lot of people don't understand that. Might roll their eyes. Fine. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter to me at all. But it's taught me some etiquette around people. Now, I will say that over the years, I have had what I feel like have been some really awkward moments with like Bruce Campbell and stuff. And it's my fault, sort of, because I don't know how to act around him because I don't want to embarrass Danny. Yeah. And I never wanted to seem like I was not very thankful for the meals that but also it was hard for me to be like, please know I don't feel like I have to be here. Please know that I'm not trying to bogey in your world. Please know that I'm not a stalker. Please know I really don't have any interest in following you around or telling people we're best friends. I've never done that. I've never said anything like that. I've said I've met the guy before. He's nice. He was friendly. He's very friendly to me. The best time that I had was really when me and you were with him in Louisville, and we walked outside. To take a break for a minute. Take a break for a minute. We walked outside from the bar, and we talked a little bit about nothing. We just bullshitted about hotel rooms and stuff, Yeah. But Danny did that because he knew that he could pay back people by giving them the experience only he could give. Sure. To me, that's the ultimate sign of respect from an entertainer.
Yeah. Yes.
Which kind of, I'm jumping around here a little bit, but I'd like to say something too. Like at the very end there, Danny was not responsive and stuff. And Sam Raimi found out late about Danny.
Yeah.
And he donated $10,000.
Yeah. And he tried to talk with Danny too. Tried to get the whole,
He did.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know. He found out
Which means
late.
a lot too, I think.
Yeah.
It means a whole hell of a lot,
He did, yeah. So so what happened was Danny had sold about $6,000 worth of autographs that it was too late. He was unable to sign. So Dominic sent out notes to people saying, you can either keep it as a donation or we can refund you. Not going to call anybody out here. Not going to say anything. Most people wanted a refund. So okay,
which
fine.
is I can't understand that. Well, no, never mind.
It is what it is. So so he lost $6,000, went down to almost 10 again. And Fragile Porcelain Mice, we did our thing. That helped. That now it's like $800,000 helped out, which is cool. I'm very proud of that. Don't get me wrong.
Yes, exactly.
So we
you guys went over and above the Call of Duty on that.
Well,
you really did.
It made me upset whenever I knew that he wasn't going to be able to sign those. And Dominic was upset. He's like, God, this is a shit show. This is going to be just, I mean, we were both just upset, and right when we were at our peak of that was when I got a note from Dominic. This was simple. Sam Raimi just donated $10,000. And I was just like, unreal. I went to my knees almost.
Yeah.
And that's when it hit me. Mm-hmm. Because what I understood about that was that, again, Danny forcing our way into dinners.
Yes.
Was the one thing that he could do that we couldn't do.
Sure.
He did something for us.
Yes.
To say, I appreciate the respect and help that you've given me. Because a lot of people don't know, when we met Danny, his wife had just passed.
Yeah.
Bruce Campbell, according to him, talked him into doing conventions because he had no interest in doing them.
Okay.
And Bruce Campbell basically told him, if you don't start doing conventions, I'm going to kill you. That's what he said. That's how they talk to each of these guys. It's kind of funny listening. But so he said, there's people selling pictures of you, Danny, out there, and you're not making a dime off it. Get out there and get back in the world and do something. He immediately met us.
Yep.
And I always felt like, not just me, I felt like everyone he met around that same time were sent to Danny.
Yes.
To keep him company and entertained until he got to be with his wife again.
Yeah.
And I always felt that. And I feel that more now that he's gone from what I've heard from his friends that knew him before I did. It feels very good. And so when Sam did that, I did get some contact information. I don't have Sam Raimi's phone number. I got some contact information to send word to his...
Let's see if I could call him. Darn it, Tim.
I got some contact information to send word to his assistant. I don't know if he's ever going to get this or not, but I did get the chance to thank him. And what I told him was that you did something for my friend that I couldn't do.
Yes.
You did something for him when he no longer was capable of doing anything for anyone else.
Right.
That to me shows selflessness.
Yes.
There was nothing that Danny couldn't go online and say, look what the great Sam Raimi did for me.
No. Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like there was nothing. That was a selfless act.
Yes.
A selfless act. And he gave Danny losing all that money and then getting it back and then some to me. And I told Sam, I said, you gave him the Hollywood ending, the twist ending he never thought he would have. He never thought he would have. We were scraping around trying to get people to help, and here comes Sam and just doesn't. And that hit me. That's when it all hit me, So that was hard. But thank you, Sam, for doing
God
that.
Bless him,
I've never met you. I never probably will. I don't know you, but I know that Danny he gave Danny a film career, a feature film career, not an acting career. He gave him a feature film career.
Yeah. And he'd already been acting,
Yes.
And he did,
Yeah. And so
to come to his aid that is just it's a beautiful thing. It's absolutely beautiful. And Danny would just be so touched. You know what I mean? He would been over the moon. He is right now, Tim.
Sure.
He's way over the moon.
Absolutely.
Right now. But you know what I mean? He that would have been so touching to him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, his stepdaughter was around, and I'm sure she said it to him, and I'm sure he heard it. And I'm sure he knew, but he couldn't thank Sam, and I just felt like it was my duty as Danny's friend. They might have think this is some crazy fan who sent a note to Sam and got his email somehow or something like that or whatever. That's fine. I did what I wanted to do. I did
Tim,
something.
you did the right thing, and I mean, I can't think of a better person to have thanked him than you. You know what I'm saying? And I really, and I'm not trying to be a ass kisser. I'm telling you, it's a great thing, and I'm glad you reached out to him, and hopefully, and I'm sure, knowing the way things are, it'll get to him. Sure. I know it will.
Well, and I appreciate that, and so I want to thank Sam, and I want to thank Bruce for humoring on Danny, and us a little bit. And I don't mean anything. I don't mean anything by that. I really don't. I don't mean like he's a dick. I just mean that I just know how the world is.
Yes.
And without Danny, we would be at McDonald's or something. I mean, like we wouldn't have been there. So I also don't think that people realize that we don't need it. So, and I don't mean to be a dick by that either, but it's not, I mean, I'm not asking for anything from anybody. Let's put it that way.
No, and that was also, a selfless act from Danny to us, like, because he didn't have to invite us,
No, we told
invite
him.
me.
Right.
Yes. And I was so blown away by the whole gesture that I just did one of my famous things: keep my mouth shut and ears open and enjoy myself. I tried to.
Well, there was some good food there to help that out for you.
Oh yeah, and I tried not to spill any wine on anybody or myself or you, Tim. So you know what I mean? Like, so that was a good night. But Danny did a lot of things for us, but he did a lot to help me also. Because I'm also my worst enemy, and doing the art and things like that is sort of subjective. People, you know what I mean? Like, I do consider myself a good artist, but sometimes I get in the downy dumps. But Danny, on a number of occasions, I won't say he got mad at me, but he told me, "You're not chopped liver, Ben," and gave me some confidence. And then I'll tell you too. Doing the movie Stalking Bigfoot with Danny will always be one of the highlights of my artistic career, if you ever want to put it that way. Even though it took me longer to draw the poster than it did for us to film the movie.
That's true. Yeah.
I still love it. I talk about a lot of the people that from around here, my brother and some of his friends included, who aren't super big movie buffs, still enjoy the movie. They think it's funny. They know Danny now just mostly through that. And from the stories that I've told. But, talk about a nervous guy who came. I was the only guy on that set that had never acted in a movie before. Right, and then also I'm acting alongside a guy who acted alongside Liam Neeson. So I was quaking in my boots when I got there. You know what I mean? And I thought, geez, Louise, I don't want to be the reason to this, but I tell you what, Tim, and I think Danny also enjoyed it a lot, working with us doing that too. And I enjoyed the experience, and I'll always have a memory of it. You know what I mean? And Danny could not have been nicer or more fun to work with, or more of a pleasure to do. We got to go do the screenings and stuff, and that, even for me, doing that with him meant the world, and with you too. And like I was telling you earlier, I will miss our talks, the three of us, when we're even at breakfast in the morning or whatever, or just in the car riding, or sitting at the booth, or in the hotel room, or whatever. We would just be us three, or just those talks I will miss greatly, and or sitting on your back porch.
Oh yeah.
Talking, or by the pool and things
listening
like that.
To owls and coyotes and having a fire going, like smoking us out.
It's funny. I thought about it the other night, and it made me giggle last night, even though I was a little sad that, when we did do the Stalking Bigfoot stuff, how Danny's, the way what he thought about Bigfoot and the Bigfoot lore. But him and I standing out there and hearing some kind of a roar or some kind of something, and we both looked at each other like, you gotta be fucking shitting me. He doesn't believe, I do believe, but we still were like, what the hell was that? It was, you know what I mean? Like, it was, and I thought about it, it was just him and I walking out in the field, just he and I talking, and to hear that, but it made me, I've been really sad about this, but I've been thinking about so many of the fun things that we did with Danny. Right. And I know he's with us in spirit too, and but it's the least we could do to get on here and talk a little bit about him. But he, I know he did a lot to enrich both our lives. And I know you enriched his life. I hope I made his a little bit funnier.
I think everybody did. Maybe I do have more authority to speak on this than a lot of people, but I do know that. Look, here's the thing too. I get a little. I'm not comfortable with the social media outpouring when a celebrity dies.
Sure,
I feel like it's an opportunistic thing for people to say, "Look at me." But I kind of feel like this is like a total blanket statement. By the way, it just really is. I kind of feel like on one hand, it's like the old Ed Wood and Bela Lugosi thing when Bela Lugosi was released from rehab, and Ed Wood, he wanted the vultures to scatter, and Lugosi's like, Eddie, I'm getting paid attention to. This is great, and so I do, and I kind of see it that way. But he was like, we did this stuff together, and through it all, like, it just became a part of my personal family.
Yes.
And he knows my family. He knows my cousins, my parents, my brother.
Yep.
He's been to my brother's house. He's been to my cousin's house. He's been to my aunt's houses. I mean, he came to parades at my Uncle Boyce's parents' house, who I've only been to their house a few times. You know what I mean? So it's like, he's at Midwest parades.
You've only been to a few places a few times ever.
That's true. So, but, I know what one thing I'm trying to share about is I know that it's not like I'm not being selfish about this at all. Like I just was so warm about Danny, and a lot of people that he knew too, was that they were very genuinely interested in other people and liked people and enjoyed meeting people and talking to people. And Danny was like that. And if you thought you were his friend, on some level you were. He knew you. He knew who people were. And it was funny at shows though. There are some people, fans, who would come up to him at shows and he would, who are those people again? And I'd say, those are the people you met last time, or I would recognize someone, but I wouldn't know their names. Like, watch out, here comes somebody. And he'd be ready. And he would just turn it on, and he'd be like, okay, like that. And then it wasn't, it's no offense to people. It's just that when you have a lot of people talking to you at one time, it's very difficult to remember who people are and keep that straight. You might remember a face. That's why most people say I remember faces. I'm kind of the same
that's
way.
me.
Yeah.
I remember a face for 30 years. I can't remember a name for 30 seconds.
Oh, you freak people out. You act like you know everybody.
Yeah, that's
You're like my dad. You freak people out. They have to play along with you because they think that you know them. Yeah, they think they're supposed to know you. Yeah. You're the guy that comes out from behind the table and says, hey,
you with the face.
Right. But look, so... so after Danny couldn't do stuff after his neck surgery, and the neck surgery didn't help his neuropathy at all. It made it worse. And
he was struggling the last time when I was there to see him and see you at the house.
So his music days were over. So we did a couple music videos, and then eventually we're like, you know what? Let's just stop this charade. Let's just start taking trips together and spending time together.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we ended up doing, and that's why a lot of conventions you saw me. Maybe with him or Angie with him and sitting with Cassie and him or something, because he was staying at our house.
Yeah.
And we would just go to the convention with him and be his assistants. And Dominic knew us, so he was fine letting us sit there and help them. And we don't really know what we're doing. We're not professional assistants at a convention. I don't really know how to divvy up the money and stuff. I just know how to not let anybody steal it. That's about all I know. Right. And they can trust me not to steal it because, again, I don't need it. It's all right. All good. This is not easy for us. It's just not. And I will say one thing to everybody out there. I know everybody's sad and stuff, but I know how bad he's been.
Yeah.
I've seen him and I've heard him.
Yeah.
And I am relieved that he is at peace.
Yes.
And he is finally, since the day we met him, finally back with Zuli.
Yep. And without pain.
Absolutely.
No pain. Yes.
Absolutely. So I'd like to thank Mike and Bruce and the cast members of those movies for accepting me and Angie when needed, or sometimes out of the goodness, whatever. Just making us not feel like we were crashing apart like we were. Thank you.
Right. Yep.
Extra special thanks to Cassie. Extra special thanks to Betsy Baker.
Yes.
Extra special thanks to Sam Raimi for his unbelievable sign of generosity at the end there. And then also I can't really not let this be said, but it was almost a year to the day that Angie got diagnosed with cancer that Danny did.
Yeah.
Very different outcomes and stuff. And, just to show you who Danny was, the first thing he does is he tells Angie, I'm so sorry. I had no idea what this meant.
Yeah.
I had no idea what it's like to be told this. I should have been there for you.
Yeah.
The man stayed with us up until the day she started chemo. I mean, he was there for us, trust me. He was there for us through marital problems. He was there for Angie's cancer. We were there for him when he needed it, and he was there for us. And that's a true sign of a friend. Yeah. And he was our friend, but definitely. He was, listen, if you're listening, he was your friend too. And he was everyone listening's friend.
Yeah.
And everyone can be, let it hurt a little bit, but I promise you this, he wants everybody to tip one back and enjoy life.
Sure, exactly. And that's really what he'd want. Exactly. And through all that stuff, Danny, all his issues and problems, as far as, with his wife dying and him being in pain and having the surgery and things like that, he still was one of the best spirited guys I ever knew. You know what I mean? Except for that time we made him watch the Ice Cream Bunny. Santa Claus versus Ice Cream Bunny. I watched it
last night. I bought RiffTrax is selling a live version of that, and I haven't watched it yet. I bought it. I bought a stream, but I haven't watched it. I'm waiting to watch it, and I almost put it in, but I didn't want to scare Danny's ghost away.
Yeah,
I just didn't want to do it.
I've had enough of this shit.
He actually stood up. I don't think Danny ever understood the Mystery Science RiffTrax thing. I think he got so wrapped up in the movies, he didn't listen to the jokes that were going on over.
He got so wrapped in that movie, he was searching the director, and I think he was going to have him drawn and quartered and. But then he found it quite interesting, all these different movies that the guy directed. Yeah.
You remember when we were done with that, he actually stood up and yelled and said, on behalf of Hollywood, I apologize. It was that was funny. That was funny. He was laughing with us watching it, but I don't think he got it. I don't think I'm not sure he understood the RiffTrax were added later. I don't think he understood it, so, but either way, it was.
He was a gentleman through it. Let's put that way.
Well, I would just like to say that we, yes, he was a good sport. And I just like to say that it's always going to be Hicks season.
Yes,
from
always.
now on. And
for him to pass away during our show yesterday, I know for me, it just is, it's I don't think it's a coincidence. I really don't.
I will tell you one thing. And
that means a lot to me too, man. Mm-hmm. Like a lot. It brings tears in my eyes. It really does. So.
Yeah. Well, I know that, and this is Danny's sense of humor and our sense of humor. And part of why we got along too is that I did the first thing. How I told Ben was I sent him a text and I said, Danny passed while we were doing the show. He must have heard us.
Yep. Exactly.
And it was a joke. It was, oh God, these guys, I'm going now. I'm done with these guys, and
you said no more third wheel, damn it.
Yes. So I'm going to announce here, I haven't even told Ben this, that from now on, there will be a metal folding chair.
Yes.
Sitting right behind me where it always was when it was Hicks season.
Good.
So every time we do the show,
Danny's with us.
The seat will be there.
Good. And you know what? I'm going to tell you this too. I mean, he was a good sport about doing the show with us too. He didn't have to. He got up at early times when he shouldn't have had to.
Right.
He got up at early.
No, he hated that.
And he did the show. And no matter how he felt or whatever, or when his voice was bad, he trooped on for us. And I'll never forget that either. He didn't have to do that. He didn't, and he did.
Well, I think
that shows how much he cared for us too, and stuff. So and our show, and helping us get it out there.
Well, he was impressed when he saw me preparing for it a couple times, and then it was funny how he started preparing for it. Like he would have a notebook he'd ask me for, and he'd start writing stuff down and everything. He'd get real into it because he'd forget. Yeah, he'd forget what we watched or whatever. But and he was surly about movies too. He was definitely pretty opinionated by him. He liked to read more than movies though. People ask him about movies. He's like, I don't know anything about movies. He's like, ask Tim. Yeah. He knows stuff. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
So thank you, Danny.
Yes.
We love you. We
God
will miss you.
you.
But you're in your chair. Your chair's right behind me where it always is.
That's right.
So I'm gonna have to turn around and point at you when it's your time to talk and everything. And it's a permanent Hicks season because now he's going to be with us always.
Right. Yes.
And so anyway, so what we did is yesterday we did do the show. We did a normal formatted show that we normally do. And I called Ben and we talked, and we decided just to record the beginning of it and just make it into a tribute to Danny. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to edit in our official film, because Danny, I promise you this, would want the show to go on. He would want us. He wouldn't even want us to give this much time to him. He would want us just to do our thing. Well, too bad, Danny, because this time you ain't got to say.
That's right. And good thing you weren't here for this movie either. So,
well, that's true too. Yeah.
Poor guy.
So I know
he'd have stood up maybe in the middle of this one and apologized for Hollywood too. But that's okay.
He would have had a few issues, I'm sure.
Yes, he would have. Yeah.
Well, Godspeed, Danny. Safe travels.
Yes.
And we love
God
you.
Bless,
and we'll be waving back at you. That's for sure. Ben's always pointing at you. He's always pointing up that way. That's his move.
That's my thing.
That's his shtick. Yeah. So again, we love you, Danny, and I would like to thank everybody for listening to us give our piece and say what we thought about Danny and what he meant to us. He was our family. We love him. He'll always be here in the metal chair sitting right behind me. So
that's right.
And now I'm going to seamlessly edit in
edit this right into
what we
talked about
did yesterday starting now. Let's get to our official film here for this week, Mr. Ben Harley. So I know it's been a busy week for both of us, and tough weeks, busy weeks. Yes, taxing for sure. Let's see here. From 1981.
Yeah.
What's 1981?
The best year. Well, the best year in cinema.
Right.
I say 82, but no, it's 81.
It's 81. According to me,
I like 82.
I know.
I got a little love for 82. Not so much the movies, it's 82 for some reason that year.
Well, 82 is good too. It's very good too. Yeah. 1980 is good. 1982 is very, very good. 83 is not bad. 83's got some stuff going for it. I'm just resoundingly anchored in 81. That's where
I'm with you on the 81. Yeah, I'm definitely with you.
Let's see here. We have the movie Demoniod.
Yes.
All the way, just like avocados, they are all the way from Mexico.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So let's see here. This film is directed by one Alfredo Zacharias, the director of The Bees.
All
right, let me get out Movie Guy here and give you a short storyline summary here for Demoniod. Here we go. At a dig in rural Mexico, a British industrialist accidentally unleashes an ancient evil, a severed hand, possessed by a vengeful demon that attacks, kills, and takes over the hand and mind of anyone who interferes with its ruthless quest for violence. Determined to stop the bloodshed, the wife of the industrialist joins forces with a renegade priest. But will they be able to conquer the evil hand before the forces of hell overtake them?
I think that's pretty much the movie right there.
Yeah.
So, Oh,
now,
my
this
goodness.
movie, okay, first of all, you have to admit one thing. You start watching this movie and you're like, this doesn't look familiar.
No.
I don't see the normal slasher tropes going on here. What is that?
No.
What's going on? So this movie is something that it is a Mexican-produced film. From the same director who did do The Bees, as I said, with John Saxon, John Carradine.
Yeah.
Man,
luckily they weren't in this one.
Well, they must have been, I don't know, they must have been just doing something else. They must have been, I don't know what they were on. I don't know what they're up to right now, but they were on some other movie that we've made fun of. I can promise you that. What's going on? They just, it's not because they didn't want to be here. It's not because they weren't supposed to be in this movie. I promised you. And good old Stuart Whitman pulled up the rear. He said, "I'll take care of this for you guys. Don't worry about it."
Yeah. You go on vacation. I'll deal with this one.
Right. So we get Samantha Eggar as Jennifer Baines. Now she's the star of the film, and it's her husband who's like the archaeologist person. Now I'm not a big Samantha Eggar fan.
She's okay. She's all right.
She reminds me of a pencil.
Yeah.
So I don't like she is, and let me see if I can put this in a delicate and a kind way. She has independently focused monitor lizard eyes. I'm trying to say she's like 3/4 Jerry Jones. So is that nice? Am I okay? Am I safe? Am I safe in 2020? Okay. All right.
No, I don't think so. You better look out.
I'm trying my best. I'm getting old. I'm trying.
Yes,
trying to play along here. So yeah, we have her, and then she is her husband is Roy Jensen from Chinatown and Soylent Green and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's been around the block.
Yes,
a little bit
absolutely.
Too.
Yeah. Old kind of character actor pops up and stuff. So yeah, they are desecrating tombs and shit down in Mexico, and there's a devil hand. And the devil hand attacks people and absorbs into people's hand. Their left hand. My Ben the Devil's Hand Harley pal over here, left-handed sons of bitches.
Over here doing printing, printing press. That's the devil's work right there too.
Absolutely. So,
geez,
I'm
going to hell.
If you get a hold of this hand, you'll be there already. So, so the hand possesses people and makes them all demony and stuff like that. And eventually, Samantha Agar does encounter Stuart Whitman, who plays Father Cunningham. Now, Stuart Whitman in this movie acquires a Irish accent about 2/3 of the way through his performance, I think. He didn't. I looked over at Angie. I was like, I'm 47 years old. I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic grade school, kindergarten, and Catholic high school. And I looked over at Angie and I go, in my 47 years, I have never once met a priest who had an Irish accent. I never met a Father O'Malley. Never met anyone like that. I never did, believe it. That is the most stereotyped thing I've ever experienced in my life. So instead of John Carradine or John Saxon, we have Stuart Whitman here pulling up the name for the marquee. And Stuart gives one of his patented 12-pack of Schlitz acting performances in this, falling in and out of accents and things like that.
Right.
He's
a boxer at one point.
They always, movies always want to show priests doing regular guy things. Even The Exorcist did that. It was boxing, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or jogging, or they gotta do regular guy things, So his regular guy thing is boxing for sure.
Right.
So that's it. So basically, Stuart Whitman and Samantha Agar are trying to figure out what's going on with the hand. Where is the hand? Let's destroy the hand. Yeah, that is the film.
And Tim, in defense of the film, I'm a guy who likes the movie The Hand. I really do.
Oh yeah.
But
oh yeah.
There's some odd things in this movie. It really. Okay, that whole boxing scene, for instance, is such an odd thing to be going on. That's the slowest beating I've ever seen anybody take, even when it was in fast motion. It's like, wow. But you're right. It's
like the opposite of when they got Shemp in the ring, right?
Oh my God.
I don't want a cream puff.
Oh yeah. But there really is just a lot of what's kind of neat about the movie is that the hand it jumps from people to people, and then pretty much everybody they they go bad for a minute, but then they want the hand cut off. Then they snap around to oh no, I gotta get this thing off of me. And, and I do there's a scene where they're at the casino and he's winning he's throwing with his left hand, right, Timo? He's winning all the shooting craps.
Yep. Yeah. So after Samantha Agar's archaeologist husband gets demony hand. Yes, he goes to Vegas. Yeah. He goes up from Mexico up to Vegas to start winning some coin, winning some money.
Yeah.
And then he encounters two scoundrels, two people that are they're definitely
they're
shysters.
And she's playing like a lady of the night.
Yes,
and then
Now we need to stop there because as I was watching it, I was looking and I'm like, I know him. And Angio looks over at me. I'm like, no. Like I don't. It's not like an actor. I know him.
Yeah.
And so I looked it up and I'll be damned. It's Ted White. That was Ted White, the guy who played Jason in Friday the 13th, Part 4. God, man, really? He's one of those guys who's always been old. He's always been old.
You might be right, my friend.
He's like John Hurt. He was never young. He came out wrinkled and stayed wrinkled. Damn it.
Right.
You know, so, and the lady, Angela, is played by Haji from Faster Pussycat and other Russ Meyer movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was Haji and Ted White who were attacking Roy Jensen and Demoniod over his money, and then they got their asses handed to them.
Oh, yeah. Yes, they sure did.
Yeah, so
that was a good one, Tim.
so Roy, thank you. Roy Jensen, yeah, he doesn't allow them to take him out, I guess. But
no,
but
he puts the beating on
doesn't
him
he get
pretty
burned
good.
up in the process?
Yeah, and then the hand gets away again, and then but yeah, it ends up attacking like a policeman or getting on a
Well, what
cop,
happens
and then
is
they have to. Oh, it's just crazy.
Well, Roy Jensen gets burned alive, basically.
Yeah.
And then he actually gets buried and everything. And then in one of the most underplayed effects I've ever seen in cinema, he leaps out of the ground. Now, let me explain this to you. So we have here is a grave covered with earth, okay?
Yeah.
Now, we've seen the zombie movies where you see the dirt start getting stirred around and a hand comes through the dirt.
Yeah.
And then the corpse pulls himself out. No, this is a pile of dirt and the dirt explodes and a man comes leaping out as if he was Lars Ulrich being catapulted onto his drum set. I was like, what on earth was that? And that's all they show. They just show a little bloop and that's it. And the next thing you know, we have old burn victim running around.
Yeah,
and he
like
cuts his own hand off.
Yeah, it looked like, I thought at one point, I go, what is that? Is it a dog? It looked like a dog at first second. Like, yeah, and he's like slams his
looked like an
hand
anatomy dummy to me. But
yeah, exactly. I don't know. I'm telling you through my cheesecloth. So it actually, like, it looked like he put his hand in the door.
He did.
They have a car, and he slammed the door to get. Yeah,
it's a cop car. So then the cop, he gets demony handed. He gets his demony handed to him too, and that's when Stuart Whitman's trying to figure out where the demony hand is, and that's when he goes into the boxing ring with the cop, and that's
when the cop punches him in the face like really slow.
Yeah.
And that brings me to something else. This movie has so much padding in it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's excruciating. I mean, look,
yes.
It's trying to stretch the length. This film was like an hour and 19 minutes. It could easily have been like 45 minutes. Like easily have been. But man, do they pad and stretch and pad and stretch. But I will say one thing, Mr. Ben Harley. So we're talking about all this stuff going on. And you're like, and
yes, sir.
I know you got to be sitting there going, the hell is going on, man? Like, what's this?
Yeah,
what's this hand out of nowhere? Like, and then it's like one of those like famous legends, superstitions and stuff that only 6 people in the cast know about.
Yeah.
That's it. Apparently people who dig up things like pyramids and graves, they have their own certain set of superstitions, which you would think would not allow them to do the work they do.
Right.
They're the only people who do this work and the only people who believe in this shit.
Right.
So you would just think that the people who wouldn't believe would be like, I don't believe in that. I'm gonna go dig up. I'm gonna go dig up that grave.
Yeah, you're hired. Come on, you're welcome aboard. But no, it's always the ones that, like, no, we're not going that far.
So basically, but then as soon as the cop, so we've pretty much explained what's going on here. But then as soon as the cop gets all hand demony, that's when the movie flies off the handle and becomes like story spaghetti. It just really. But unfortunately, then like the last 15 minutes, the big final confrontation, it just slows to a snail's pace.
Yes.
And then you think the H-Man doesn't have an ending. I got some news for you. Whoever you are, pal. I got some news for all of you out there listening and listen land. This definitely just absolutely falls apart. That final confrontation with the hand and Stuart Whitman and Samantha Agar is excruciatingly drawn out.
Yes.
And it's totally trying to get the film to barely an hour and 20-minute length. You know, and I don't understand that. It's like, if you have a real good movie at like an hour and 5 or 10 minutes, just leave it like that.
Yeah.
But you know,
no, they can't figure out how to end these things.
No,
they can't, and that makes it the worst. And don't know how many times I've been disappointed by an ending of a horror movie. Like, what?
Right.
Well, I've been disappointed by the openings of credits too.
Right. So. Well, then you understand why you don't know this movie. And you like, and there is a lot of times.
And I know that name. I know the name of this movie. I've forever. And I probably would have watched this knowing it was a hand movie back in the day. I just don't think I ever,
Right.
But I'm kind of glad I didn't. I mean, it's definitely would have been somewhat of a forgettable. I mean, I'm sorry. It has its moments. It really does. But it's just, like you say, Tim, one of your favorites, it's jarring. You know what I mean? There's some weird, and it's not, I don't know. Tim, I've been over the whole gore type thing, and there's not like super bad gore in this.
No.
But some of it I'm just like, back then, with the guy getting his hand cut off, which actually, okay, I'm going to take that back. You know what? I'm going to change. I forgot. I'm going to change my whole perspective.
Was it a soldering gun, by the way, he was cutting hands off with?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Seriously, I'm like, what is that? Is it a soldering gun?
Yeah. I'm changing though my whole perspective on this film. I forgot about the one scene too. Yeah, so when they're cutting his hand off, the doctor's office, the hand falls off and grabs the gun, the cop's gun, right? The cop's gun, and shoots the nurse.
Right.
But man, I'm telling you, that hand was. Okay, Tim. You know what? I just gave it a great vape up to the rafters. I just forgot about that scene. All right, I'm done. Thank you.
The hand has the ability to move very, very good.
It is as agile and nimble as anything I've ever seen.
It has a lot of inertia behind it somehow. It has a lot of force behind it. It's definitely like it's a no holds barred. Fuck it. This hand is like powerful and will choke you out and rip your face off and break your neck and tear your hair off. And, it's more powerful off a person than on a person, basically.
Yeah, I knew it was badass, but man, when it flew off and went right for the gun and had enough perfect aim.
Right.
To shoot the nurse within like 5 seconds, this whole thing went down.
Right.
That was impressive. I did forget about that scene.
Well, that was quite a performance too, because that was Dr. Julian Rifkin, who was played by, of course, Narcisco Biscuits. So that was something else. I had to rewind that scene actually because it was really poorly dubbed.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed that or not, but I don't know what the guy was saying. But I think he was talking about, I'm pretty sure he was talking about cotton candy and bubble gum. I think he was talking about that. And they were like, you're going to die. And the face was saying, I like candy and bubble gum. That's what it looked like. I was like, rewound it. I was like, did you see that? And he's like, no. Like, let's watch that again. That's like, I don't know where the hell that came from. So,
and
that was a funny scene too, because first of all, when they walk in the doctor's office, the doctor's getting it on with the nurse on the couch.
Yeah.
What a well-decorated office, too.
Oh, very well decorated. I don't know, Tim. I don't know.
And I told Angie when I saw that decoration, see, this is what the 1970s hated about the 1980s. Just look at the decoration in here. It's like, this is awful. Remember though, they were still making Santo movies, El Santo movies at this time too. So
there you go.
This was probably a pretty good, and it is actually a pretty good Mexican import for that time. Look, Mexico over the last like 20 years has put out some pretty good horror films. I mean, like really good stuff. And I'm not saying the U.S. was doing much better, like back in the 60s and 50s and stuff like that. No. But this is more in line with those movies, like with quaint effects. Like they're trying to be special, but they were more just plain effects, not special.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, there was nothing special about them. But they really went for it in this. You know what I mean? They did. They went for it. There's not a lot of, some of the effects are pretty... They're pretty jarring themselves.
Yeah.
But I will say they went for it on certain things. It just didn't really come across all that well. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to tell you, that hand is nimble and agile.
Oh.
And it can shoot like Annie Oakley.
Yeah, it sure can. Yeah. Oh,
I'm not sure what to do with this movie, but that scene alone right there, I'm going to have to give a great babe up to the rafters. The rest of it, I'm working on.
Right. Well, listen, I was talking to Angie about this movie, and I told her that like this was a movie that we had all heard of, and I don't think a lot of us saw it. And I said because it's more of a cult film. It's not one that like a lot of people have seen. A lot of people have heard of it, but not a lot of people have seen it. And even back in the VHS days, this is when I would pick up and go, and put it back down, you know. I don't think I ever. I might have watched it once. I think I might have when I was a kid once. Now I did watch it again in the last like couple years to kind of refresh my memory, and I actually found it to be oddly compelling. Like I was sitting there, like I knew what I was seeing, but I couldn't look away. It was like a bad accent, you know. And,
yes. Oh yeah.
And I'm like, this. At least it wasn't a run of the mill, which I like. Slasher in the woods, type movie for back then. I mean, it was 81, and
that's still not bad, you know,
and it
for that
wasn't,
time period.
I mean, it wasn't like a derivative, really story or anything. I mean, actually, the funny thing is, if you look at movies like Idle Hands today and things like that, this is kind of like that. It is definitely a disembodied hand movie, but there's a lot more to it. Like a lot of those movies were more like the Hands of Orlac type of deal, where like a pianist like gets his hands severed and then like gets someone else's hands sewn on his, and they're like killer's hands. Or the character imagines a hand crawling around when in reality that's his own psychosis and it's him killing people out of a hand.
Yeah.
This isn't that. This is a hand possessed by the devil. Basically, I mean, there is a demon figure they keep showing and telling you that this is it's a demon thing.
Like,
and
if you kind of decompose and come back to life and things like that. Yeah,
right. Yeah. And even the beginning of it, I was kind of curious whether or not it was a little influenced by Raiders of the Lost Ark, because there is a lot of secret passages and tunnels and poop chutes and everything down in down in these tombs, you know, basically, and mummies, and those mummies were real. Those are real mummies that they were shown in this movie, which that was kind of cool. Yeah, it was kind of cool. Yeah, to see that. So it's a hodgepodge of nonsense. But were you bored? I wasn't bored watching it. I did get toward the end, the big finale where you got through all the neat little shit they were throwing at you. And it was just basically a battle of the wills between Samantha Eggar and Stuart Whitman, the Hand. Yeah. Yeah, that got. And then the end is like, what?
Toxic. Yeah.
Did she just run off with the priest? Yeah, I'm just like, what is going on? I don't understand. I don't know about any of this stuff here at the end. And
do we care?
Well, it's sort of like 2 weeks in a row, because the H-Man, which we reviewed last week, had like no ending. And this movie basically has like no ending at all.
No.
And I do believe wholeheartedly that is why we're talking about this movie now, going, I didn't really watch this.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it just, I don't know. It sets you up for something.
It does.
And then just like runs away. It rings your doorbell and runs.
Yeah. Ding dong ditch it, man. Come on.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna mild grape ape up the movie. Only because of the hypnotic nature of it.
Yeah.
If you're watching. I don't like Samantha Eggar. Stuart Whitman's okay. He's all right. He's a little bit of a stuffed suit, but he's a serviceable guy. He's one of those, again, he's like a John Saxon. He's one of those guys that comes with the film. You know, if you need someone, a name that sounds familiar that people have heard of for some reason, usually for television or something like that.
Yeah.
He's your guy. Yeah. I'm sure he was on Love Boat more than once. So, but I'm going to get, like I said, a mild grape ape up, and that's for like I said, the hypnotic nature of it. It wasn't like it was ripping anything off that I could tell. And that I appreciate that in a way too. It was a little bit of an original idea. And I did see an interview with the director who said like The Hand came out right around the same time. He had no idea they were making that. This is an independent film.
Yeah.
You know, he just had his idea and started making it. And I think it might have gotten a little criticism for kind of ripping the movie out. Now, this has nothing to do with the Michael Caine movie, The Hand.
No.
I mean, not even close to that.
No. It's completely different film. I mean, and I give it, and I like that Michael Caine one. I know that one
It's okay.
I liked it a lot more when I was younger, but it's okay. You know, I'll still always remember that movie in my horror, youth or whatever, coming up watching stuff. And it did have effect on me, but totally different movie. And I give this one credit for it. It tried the movie itself, it's all right. But I mean, it really, they kind of went for it. Like I said, in certain places and
right.
For good or for worse, you never know.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's some memorable scenes in this film.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So
there wasn't a lot. I mean, how much from Mexico around that time are we seeing?
Right,
in horror films and stuff.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, we are still in the era where we're at the end of the Santo run. It started in the late 50s. And boy, they kept making those movies on and on. Them guys are getting a little long in the tooth to be wrestling around with furry werewolves and stuff, But and I think that this is a leap forward from that. I personally think, so so Mild Grape Ape Up, and there's a part of me that's interested in seeing more from. I know there's more from this era,
sure,
from Mexico, and I don't know them very well. I don't know a lot of them, so it does make me a little inquisitive and curious about seeing some more things from that era. But we'll have to see if I can locate any of that or anything, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there isn't a lot from then. I don't know. Maybe they were absorbing what we were making.
True.
Who knows? I don't know. But still interesting, though. Interesting import.
Yes, it definitely was.
Yeah.
Same thing, Tim. I'm just going to give it a Mild Grape Ape Up, too. Right. And, I enjoyed parts of it. Parts of it were like, huh? Which is okay, too, and I kind of, enjoy those moments. But, yes, the hand, though, shooting the gun, for me, was quite awesome. So
you're soaking in it.
Oh, God, it was awesome. I really was. That was one of those, like the Scooby Doo thing. Like what the, But I'm telling you, it was. It made the movie for me. So there you go.
It could fly across the room, but just decided to cap her ass. Just to show it could do it, right?
Oh, yeah, it did, man. Because, I mean, they've been choking people out. They've been doing all these things throughout, like you said, ripping your face off, doing your hair, whatever it wanted.
You can't say it wasn't a creative hand. It was a very creative hand. Yeah, the hand of an artist, Mr. Ben Harley. Just like yourself. It was a left hand of an artist. So.
Yes. Oh, man. Right. Good stuff, buddy.
Yeah, so you're going to give it a Mild Grape Ape? Just for
sir.
Kind of the same. All right, so I'm going to give Mild Grape Ape. And for the artist's left hand, and our good friend Mr. Danny Hicks is also an artist who is left-handed. So and we are thinking about Danny Hicks still.
Yes, we are.
And all prayers and well wishes to him and his family. So, all right, Mr. Ben Harley, till next week. I'm not sure what we're doing, but I don't know if it's going to be left-handed or right-handed.
It should be.
Not sure.
It'll be right in the middle.
It'll be one or the other. It'll be one or the other. I don't know. So, but until then, stay spooky. And we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Timo and Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.